Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So I've heard uh, this Twid this week was a pretty big deal, so I'm just going to give my reaction and overall thoughts. Hopefully they address some of the pain points, probably like high ground bygones, prismatic hunter, prismatic in general, honestly, not just prismatic hunter. So, maybe this will be a good one. Let's see. So they're given a graph here about the most used weapons. You can see bygones and rows. Rows makes sense because it's just like the go-to 140 hand cannon, that's just like a staple. It is clearly like the best 140, but like I wouldn't say this is a case where its usage rate is reflective of like it being overpowered. Bygones is really in a class by itself because it has that insane damage boost where two bursts way past its which is way out of the norm for weapons of its archetype. Then you have LCs and Graviton. These are all great weapons too. So yeah, let's see maybe if they're talking about. Okay, so as it says right here, Bygones alone is egregiously out of band, almost entirely to the high ground perk. Makes sense. Oh, so they will be looking at it. Okay, so um, that's good. Okay, we continue to keep an eye out on other top performers, but the current thought is that most of these weapons are very close to the upper end of what we want primaries to be able to do in their current roles, and we're more interested in bringing other options up to meet them than hammering these options down by more than small amounts. Okay, I kind of like this actually. So, um, I think currently like 340 pulses, like they are really strong and they do have that like insane like two burst time to kill, but I don't think they need to nerf like them being able to like two burst or anything like that. Maybe like a tiny like ease of use change where it's like a little bit more difficult to land two burst, but like I don't think they're like as out of band as some other people, even though they are really strong. While the meta has moved away from closer range engagements, we believe the consolidation around these specific weapons is due in large part to a combination of two things. Difficulty of engaging in medium and close range combat windows. Okay, due to current ability uptime, based on prismatic. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, really, like people are playing more passive because they don't want to get smoke bombed and storm grenaded and lightning surged and diamond lance. So I make this makes sense. Lack of competition among medium long range primary options outside of pulses. What is like? I guess they're talking about like scouts and like high impact autos aren't very good. I mean, I've made a video about Fang of Your Ute. I think that weapon, like in terms of, I mean, that's probably an outlier in terms of scout rifles, but I don't think um like scout rifles like have zero chance of competing. It's just like I think the maps don't really favor playing that far in the back, but it kind of makes sense that trying to they're targeting pulse rifles because they are really good right now. We'll be buffing some options in that engagement range as well as reducing the amount of ability usage able to be generated by prismatic subclasses. Okay, that sounds good. Let's see what they do. It is yada 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 yada. As such, we've made the decision to give all prismatic subclasses a blanket 15% additional ability cooldown penalty inside of Crucible. Okay, that's good. All I really think all the prismatic subclasses, not just Hunter, um, they kind of need an ability cooldown blanket nerf. This makes a lot of sense because really the only class I see that's used like frequently that's not prismatic is Solar Warlock, so this makes sense. You want to increase viability of these other subclasses. Okay, so penalty stacks on top of the current PvP cooldown penalty 15%. This wasn't even like really noticeable because you're getting spammed so much, so another 15%, that's good. All right, Storm's Edge. What are they doing with this? Even with the cooldown increase, Storm's Edge still feels like too much of a win button with little to no counterplay, even for a super. Yeah, this super is pretty hard to counter. Um, it's not like you can't like team shot the super down, but like if you're playing by yourself, you can't really rely on other people shooting the super with you. So it makes sense that they're addressing this. Reducing damage resist during the cast and reduce the height of the damage impulse. Oh, so maybe that like makes it easier to jump over the super. I guess that makes sense. A lot of the times it feels like you can be over the super, but you still get hit by it, so that's cool. Reduce the height of damage impulse from 5 to 3.75 meters. Okay, that's good. I don't know how that'll feel in game, but that is definitely a good change. Reduce damage resist against players from 53 to 45%, both on cast and during the sprint attack. Now, in some of my videos, I think some of you guys might have seen me use like Vorpal Rose, because that like really chunks. It does like 60, 63 damage, I think, on if you hit someone in their super. So that might, I'll have to test that, but that might be able to 3-tap someone, either Storm's Edge, and if there's multiple people using Vorpal, like on a Rose, because most people are, like a lot of people do use Rose, but um, a Vorpal Rose might be even more valuable now that this damage is reduced. So, oh, and moved from tier 3 to tier 1, so this is going to be like the slowest charging super. But that's going to be really good. That's not going to come up as frequently now. You really got to be popping off in trials to be getting the super. All right, Knucklehead, awesome. I'm loving all these targets here. Exotic's ability to provide information to PvP players without requiring them to engage in combat, and giving the information for as long as it has contributed a bit too much to the strength of the longer range meta options. That makes sense because you can just track people through the wall with your high ground bygones and just pre-fire and two-burst them really easily with how long you get the target. So now it requires the wearer to damage a player to mark the target. That's a good change, although I still think it's going to be nice if you like shoot someone and then you can see them through the wall for a little bit. Target mark for 3 seconds down from 7 seconds. That's pretty big. I still think this is going to be like good, but it's become more niche. Like I don't think this is going to be the end all be all exotic now. I think a lot of people are going to go back to their stompies and exotic class items, but I think this is still going to be a good exotic, even if its marking is down by over half. So I think that's a good change. Bows, I'm not really a big bow guy, but increased body shot damage, I guess that's cool. I don't know. I mean, I don't really like going against bows, but you know, I know some people like using them, and I don't think they're like a huge problem. So, increasing body shot damage, I don't know. Maybe you'll be able to one shot or one head, one body, I guess, with these precision bows, but I don't think bows are a big deal right now. Hand cannons, okay. We have been hesitant to allow aggressive or 120 RPM hand cannons to kill in 2 crits and 1 body shot in PvP, while Igneous Hammer remained one of the most effective weapons. But the addition of the new mods and weapons that can be enhanced has served to narrow the stat gap between it and other options like criminals and something new. In addition, we have more options than just high impact pulses that are usable in that 35 to 40 meter range of engagements. So it makes sense to bring the 120 RPM sub family up to compete. Paired with a minor stat nerf to Igneous to prevent it from immediately becoming the top dog again. Okay, so increased damage by 3%. This allows them to kill all resilience levels in 2 crits in 1 body. I actually think this is a good change because Igneous Hammer and all the best 120s already could basically 2 crit in 1 body with precision instruments. So I think this will actually increase the variety of 120 hand cannons that are being used, because if you don't have a 120th precision instrument, it's like, why are we even like running it? So I think this is going to be a good change, so where it'll increase perk diversity amongst these hand cannons. And like the best one's already 2 head 1 body anyway, basically in the today's sandbox. I don't think this is a big deal. Igneous Hammer reduced stability handling aim assist stats by 3. That's like basically nothing. Igneous is still probably the best in slot 120 hand cannon. So I don't think this is going to be a big deal. Igneous is still going to be a great weapon. Better Devils. It's okay. So it's getting. I don't think this is really going to do anything either. 3 aim assist stability and handling. It's a buff, but like it's not. I don't know. I just don't think that's going to be a big deal. You kind of need like elemental capacitor anyway to get like reasonable stats on this weapon. So I don't know. Not a big deal. This is the Trials 2 burst, right? Yeah. Benefiting from the aim assist buff provided by Headseeker, but not the damage increase, so we've corrected that issue so that we can witness the firepower. Okay. Okay, yeah, I mean, I think these weapons is like more of a PvE weapon anyway. along with like the other like Warden's Law. So I don't think this is a big deal for PvP. Machine guns, okay. Machine guns have been really good right now just because they have so much ammo. Let's see. Adaptive hand cannons or adaptive machine guns have been the best. While the other machine guns kind of are bad. Okay, that makes sense because they have the best ammo, I think, and the best like TTK or like damage per shot or something. Reduces ammo allotment by 2 to 3 shots. I don't think that's really gonna do anything. Other machine guns get more ammo, but like these machine guns have like the best stat packages anyway. Like you get like 20 something bullets, so like having 2 to 3 less bullets, like that's like one that on a good machine gun that might be like 1 kill's worth less, but I still think it's gonna be the best machine gun. Oh, and then all these like ammo scaling changes. So like really everyone's just gonna use like backup mag, I guess, to buff their ammo for PvP. So alright, high ground. Yeah, it's basically too easy to use. Okay. Dealing damage to a player with a primary weapon now only grants a single stack of the damage buff. That's good. I think that's gonna be good enough to where bygones can't just 2-burst people, but it'll still get like a little maybe like forgiveness buff from the damage boost. So I think that's good. Dealing damage with a special weapon or against combatants grants maximum stacks. Okay, I don't think there's like a sniper or like a fusion with high ground. Maybe that could be helpful to give it like more forgiveness, but yeah, I think high ground right now after this is gonna be kind of dead in the water. I don't think this is gonna be a crazy perk people are gonna be seeing every day. All right, explosive payload. Okay, interesting. Explosive payload was nerfed when we originally made the Into the Light weapon sandbox changes as part of our efforts to reduce forgiveness of primary weapons. But the nerf was heavy-handed and overly punishing on too many great weapon types where the perk was not problematic. Okay, so when we rolled those changes back into the base weapon stats, we did not have a good way to adjust the perk correspondingly, so we shipped it in Revenant in its fully unnerfed state while we investigated better options. We have since been able to add more tuning levers and have reduced the efficacy of the perk only on legendary hand cannons, which is basically just like explosive payload Rose, Fatebringer, I guess. There's I guess the new 120 Exuvier has explosive payload, so that could be rough depending on what this nerf actually is. Okay, cool. Still works on like Sunshot. Okay. Reduce splash damage from the perk when used on legendary hand cannons by 7% against players only. So I guess the explosive payload chunk is gonna do less damage. This seems like a big enough like nerf to where like if you use explosive payload, it won't be able to 3-tap, I'm guessing. So explosive payload on hand cannons or on legendaries might be dead. So I think that's a net positive. Explosive payload's pretty annoying to go against. So I guess that's a good change, but I think a lot of people are gonna be mad that their God roll roses and stuff are now not gonna be as good. Telesto was doing less damage than intended in PvP. Telesto, I think, was already pretty good. So maybe it'll be more people start using it now that it's been buffed or corrected for an issue. Fixed critical damage bug in PvP. No one really uses Ariana's Vow, so this is probably like a nothing. Thorn and Lumina, okay. These weapons have felt a bit power crept in PvP by the addition of the new mod system, so we wanted to at least partially bridge the stat gap. Increased base stability by 5. I'll take it. Thorn is my favorite weapon, so a stability boost is nice. I mean, at least for me, I don't think Thorn has felt power crept. I think it was still an amazing weapon and hand cannon. These had the burn to stop health regen and stop reses. You can really snowball with it hard because it has the killing wind when you kill somebody, and then the thorn perk. You can absolutely fry people with this thing still. So I'm glad this is my favorite weapon, and it got a slight little buff. So that's awesome. Lobby balance. Okay, let's see what they're saying. We've been running a variant of Snake Lobby draft bouncing on a 6v6 and quick play playlist called Paired Player. Alongside this, we have continued running the standard lobby balancer in trials and the previously discussed lobby rank average balancer in competitive, while we ironed out some additional issues with paired player that represent themselves in this mode, which provided us with real-time comparisons. I hope this random lobby balancer in trials stays. I think that's probably for the best. I know people like have wanted, or some people have wanted like some kind of like skill-based thing that evens out the lobbies and trials, but that kind of goes against the whole point of trials, where you're trying to win multiple matches in a row. So like if you're, no matter your skill level, if you're playing people who are around the same skill level as you, it's gonna be significantly more difficult to get towards that 7-win marker, 0 losses. So I hope this random thing stays. We'll see what they have to say about that. Paired player system in Sixes has resulted in improved performance compared to both the previous iteration of the Snake Draft as well as compared to the lobby rank average in random systems when you look at the match outcomes. Average score difference between teams, and match fairness. Average skill difference between the teams, and average skill difference in the teams. In Control, for example, compared to Echoes, games that hit the Mercy score threshold have decreased by 10%, while closely contested matches, games where it's difficult to accurately predict a winner before the match starts, have also increased. So basically, they're saying there have been more close matches in Control. Now, I guess this is a net good for the player base at large, but at least for me, like whenever I play Control, like the connections are always really bad. Trying to find people who are, I guess, in the same skill bracket as me. So I guess I'm just gonna have to suffer with this system for the betterment of everybody else, which is okay. I mean, like, I can still get like good footage in Control these days, but it's a little bit more time consuming because some of the lobbies are a bit laggier and have worse connections. So, you know, if Bungie says this has been improved, I guess that's good. I guess I'd want to hear experiences from you guys. How do you guys feel about lobby balancing and your Control matches lately? Because at least for me, like, they've been all right, I guess. I feel like most of my games still are like so one-sided because I'm running into like people queuing together. It's not like I'm in Control lobbies where people are queuing by themselves most of the time. So I'd like to hear some experiences from you guys and some thoughts, because this is probably different for different ranges in that skill bracket. As you can see, steady improvements in decreasing our prediction accuracy. Okay, so they're trying to make it more fair, I guess. So it's barely. I mean, I don't want to say like it's barely, because like it is still like, I guess, an improvement, but at least for me personally, without seeing this data, I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. Simultaneously, our percentage of total games with relatively even win predictions, okay, is increasing. Okay, I guess that's good. In addition, the chance of one team having more than 90% chances of winning from this increased from 5.5% to 2%. Okay. I think this is mostly dependent on like fire team based matchmaking, getting like multiple, like getting like 3 stacks or 2 stacks spread out evenly amongst the teams. A lot of the blowouts happen when like I'm by myself and I go against like a 3 stack or a 4 stack, and they're on the other team and I get mercied, or I have the 2 or 3 stack on my team and then we mercy them. So I have noticed a little bit less mercies, but they're still like frequent enough for me to notice them. Trials. Okay, on the other hand, which we have used with random lobby balancing as our baseline, has only around 33% of its games where neither team has more than a 70% chance of winning. Okay, I mean, honestly, that makes sense. Like, trials, like, the player population has decreased. So, like, you're getting to a point where skill creep is hitting trials where the people that are playing, like, feel like they're more confident in PvP. So, they're better players are probably going to be playing in trials more frequently. If you have one like player that's out of like the lobby's like skill range, that can have a huge influence on the trials match, because especially like in duo queue, let's say I'm playing by myself and there's a duo queue on my team and a duo queue on the other team. Usually the team with a better duo queue, regardless of how well I play, is has a great chance of winning that match. I can pop off, but like realistically, most of the time for most people, I think that like if you have the better duo queue, you're gonna win. And if you have the worst duo queue, you feel like you're gonna lose, and there's nothing you can really influence that. So with nearly an equivalent chance, 31% for one team to have greater than a 90% chance of winning, and consequently our pre-match win predictions are correct more than 80% of the time. I feel like that makes sense. Even just like looking without this data, just opening up your roster before a trials match, you can kind of like see, oh, if I get this duo queue, I feel like I'm gonna win. And if I get this duo queue, I feel like I'm gonna lose. Or I there's two good duo queues. I'm in one duo queue, and then there's another grid team with another duo queue, and they're like, oh, if we get this guy as our solo queue team, like we're gonna be in good shape. Or if we get this guy, like we're gonna be struggling. So I this makes sense for trials from my experience. When paired players still underperforms pure average skill lobby balancing in terms of these teams as closely to evenly skilled as possible, we've been seeing significantly less instances of all the lowest skilled players being stacked onto one team with the highest skilled players. Okay, I feel like that lines up with what I've seen. It doesn't feel like if I'm in one lobby and I'm queuing by myself, and then there's like another team queuing against me, it doesn't feel like I'm getting like all like the worst players in the lobby on my team. It feels, I think like the snake draft system, I definitely noticed it. So Heresy will be drilling deeper into what goes into our determinations of player skill on a micro level, and look forward to sharing that data with you. Okay, so maybe there's going to be like a better definition of what skill is. Okay, interesting. Mercy rules. When we rolled out the mercy rules in Revenant, we knew that it would increase the number of games ending in mercies correspondingly. Okay. So this, I believe this change is mercies happen at can happen more often because there's like a bigger or a smaller gap you need to have to get a mercy or something. Oh yeah, only 40% of the score needed to win. Okay, because the window within could not trigger was very small. Okay. Yeah, I mean honestly, like these mercy rule, like the mercy rule change, I think is like it's okay. Like people don't want to be sitting in like the matches where they're getting stomped the entire time, and people just leave anyway. So like I don't know. The mercy rule is cool because I guess it keeps the teams. It has a better chance of keeping people in the lobby for longer because they know that they'll get the mercy sooner. Okay, and that's done. Okay, cool. So I think that's this is an overall good step in the right direction. I guess the biggest thing is all these prismatic nerfs, the base cooldown, Storm's Edge nerf, Knucklehead nerf, 120 hand cannon buff, probably increasing the variety of 120s being used. Igneous Hammer is probably still best in slot, even though it has all these stat nerfs. I don't think there's a better energy 120 hand cannon. I still think it'll be a great weapon, but I think this will be good because not every single 120 thought precision instrument is gonna suck. So I think it's a good change. That's nice. Machine guns, whatever. High ground. They actually got to nerfing this really fast, which is nice. That's gonna be good. Explosive payload. I think this is a great change. But I know people are gonna be upset because their god roll roses and stuff are not gonna be as good. These exotic changes or whatever. I mean, the 5 stability buff is nice on Thorn. It's definitely I'll take the buff, not the nerf. And this lobby balance stuff. I guess I don't really have a super strong opinion about what they do as long as or until these changes actually go live. So yeah, a great step in the right direction. Thank you guys for listening. This is kind of like a long, like a ranty style video, but I think this is important to go over this sooner rather than later, while it's still fresh in everybody's minds. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys.